Well, we're praying. Everybody on this mountain is praying for a miracle right now, and we hope that you know, that they may be stranded somewhere or in such a way that you know, they avoided it. But right now they have not been heard from. We've flown the area and haven't seen anything from the air.
Were there homes or structures affected at all?
We don't think there's any structures that were affected. To get into this area, you have to go through a locked gate in a private area. So the one thing that is good about this is that it wasn't an area that was accessible to the public, so we don't believe there was any campers or recreational people in there. What we believe so far is that the 3 people that went to check on the first initial slide that somehow adversely impacted the irrigation water are the ones that are missing.
And there's been no other calls from other people saying?
We've had other calls, but there have been calls from people that just had family or friends camping somewhere in the Colburn area. We're fairly confident that they would not be in this area, as that it's not accessible to the public.
Sheriff, can you go into some more detail about this irrigation canal? Does it kind of cross the slope of this hillside?
Well, the irrigation water comes from the drainage off of the top of the Grand Mesa and comes down into the farmland, and that's where the irrigation starts. The water would be adversely impacted at the head of this slide. Where we flew it today, there's a sheer wall where it broke off of the mountain, and it pushed an enormous amount of land, you know, a half a mile forward. And behind that big push is an area that, if it doesn't slide, will fill up eventually to become a new lake, I suppose. But it is filling up full of water now. There's a lot of runoff coming off of that sheer face where it broke, and it's coming off in several different areas. When we were flying it in the helicopter this morning, there was still more debris and dirt sliding off of that area. So the irrigation water comes from the headwaters of West Salt Creek.
Did this irrigation water play into this slide? Or was this a separate event and it's impacting that water?
Yeah, we believe the runoff of water from the Grand Mesa is probably what triggered the slide because of saturation, and ultimately it comes down and becomes the irrigation water for these ranches. So you know, it's no doubt it's tied to the rain.
Behind them.
There's no doubt that the slide is tied to the runoff and the amount of rain that we had yesterday. I mean, that seems very logical to us.
Did all of this happen on one parcel of land, one private property, or is it impacting several properties?
I don't know how many parcels of private property that are affected that we know of right now, but what we do know is where the slide originated is on United States Forest Service property.
Now, you mentioned the possibility of a second landslide with the debris still moving. What would be the implications of that?
Well, at the beginning of the origin of the slide, there is a large piece of land that has not yet continued to slide. It broke off from the mountain, and it's still at the beginning. If it becomes saturated because of the runoff that continues to pour into that basin, we worry about it coming down. And then off to one side, to the west, there's big fissures or cracks in the mountain that look like they're about ready to slide as well. And that will all slide into the same chute that the rest of the slide went down. So we have the potential of that. If more slides occur, it will probably occur on top of the existing slide. We don't know if it would be as massive as the first slide, though.
Any evacuations necessary at this point? I mean,
no, as we said before, there's no homes that are in the slide area. There's some that are beyond the slide area and off to the side that might be landlocked now. We'll try to assess that, but we believe that the homes are out of harm's way, at least at this point, and we haven't had any evacuations.
How would you describe the debris field? I mean, is it recognizable from how, obviously there was a landslide, but I mean, has it changed dramatically? Is it just not what it was?
Yeah.
Ravines filled in?
I wish we had pictures to give to you right now. That's one of the problems of being in such a remote area. Is we do have some pictures. We need to get them to you somehow, loaded to a computer and a card. But the slide is absolutely visible from the air, and some of it is visible from down the road, a portion that we want to try to take you to if we can a little later. But from the air, it's just massive. It has timber, broken and shattered timber, and rocks and snow, and there's parts of it especially on the tail end of the slide, that it's dry dirt. As you move up closer to the origin of the slide, it's very saturated.
Now, I understand that there are two other people up there too on the mountain who were pretty close to the slide.